I'd like to call this meeting to order. Sparta Board of Education regular meeting is called to order at, let's call it 7:02. First of all, thank you everyone for being here and for joining us here in person tonight, as well as those turning in at home. Lauren, could you please read the meeting announcement?
Sure. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Sparta Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be advertised by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the Sparta Board of Education office, 18 Mohawk Avenue, as designated by the Board of Education for posting such notice in a public place. Written notice was emailed on January 6, 2023 to the New Jersey Herald, the Star Ledger, tapintosparta.net, and to the Township Clerk specifying the date, time, and place of this meeting.
Lauren, thank you. Joanne, roll call, please.
Ms. Collier?
Here.
Ms. Keeling?
Here.
Mr. Knapp?
Here.
Ms. McMichael?
Here.
Mr. Paleschi?
Here.
Ms. Pitzer? Ms. Sealander?
Here.
Dr. Serrano? Mr. Morris?
Okay, thank you. If you could all join me and rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We move on to the Student Representatives Report.
So Student Council will be working with the VFW next Tuesday to unload trees for the holidays, and on Wednesday will be the Senior versus Junior Turkey Bowl. It's a flag football game. I recommend everybody go that can. It's going to be a really fun event. We are also working on a fashion show and dinner event in the spring that will benefit all 4 grades, and looking to partner with any local businesses and represent them in our show. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I just have a quick question. For the Turkey Bowl, I know last year that was a fundraiser. Is there a specific admission charge for that, for the adults? Or is it just a donation? Okay.
Okay. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes? Walter, thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Lauren. Discussion? No? Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. Any opposed?
I'm just abstaining just because I wasn't here last month.
Thank you. Okay. Dr. Beck, Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, Ms. McMichael. I would like to begin my report, as I do every November, by congratulating and welcoming our newly elected Board of Education members who will join us in January. Ms. Gagnon, Ms. Grana, and Mr. Wood, I look forward to working with you in the near future, and congratulations once again. In late October, the Sparta High School Marching Spartans won the Group 2 Open Region 10 Championships for a 3rd year in a row. This year's championship was even sweeter because it came as they competed in the Open class, which is the top competitive bracket for the highest achieving bands. I'm pleased to announce that Mr. William Brennan, teacher at Sparta High School, in collaboration with Kane University, has applied for and received a grant from the Mark Schoenwetter Holocaust Education Foundation in the amount of nearly $1,000. This grant will be used to purchase textbooks to enhance his class. During the September board meeting, I shared that Sparta High School received national recognition from U.S. News & World Report and earned Best High School designation. I'm proud to announce this evening that Sparta Middle School has also earned national recognition and has been recognized by U.S. News & World Report with Best Middle School designation. Congratulations to all the students, staff, and administration at Sparta Middle School. I'm also proud to announce that Sparta High School has been recognized as a National AP Honor Roll school. The AP School Honor Roll recognizes schools whose AP programs are delivering results for students while broadening access. Schools can earn this recognition annually based on criteria that reflect a commitment to increasing college-going culture, providing opportunities for students to earn college credit, and maximizing college readiness. Sparta High School received silver level recognition, and only 9% of eligible schools across the United States and Canada earn this level of recognition. Another update on preschool expansion as it's ongoing. Since the last Board of Ed meeting, our team of administrators has been working hard to operationalize the preschool expansion funding we were awarded in October. The parents of our students who were selected from our waiting list were notified, and they will be eligible to attend the classroom that is opening at Helen Morgan School beginning on January 2nd. Our team has also met with preschool providers from around the township who have expressed interest in partnering with us to open 2 classrooms in their facilities for the start of next school year. Yesterday, we submitted our final plans to the NJDOE and hope to announce the preschool providers we will be partnering with very soon. As an aside, those of you that follow our board agendas closely know that only in rare circumstances do we utilize agenda addendums. Tonight is one of those rare circumstances, as we needed to finalize multiple positions that are specific to preschool expansion funding. The tight timeline we have faced compelled the need for an addendum this evening. With the addendum already in place, we addressed a few other time-sensitive matters as well. As an update to last month's news regarding preliminary referendum planning, with the board's approval last month of the pre-referendum agreement with our architect, we have entered into the next steps of the proposal process. Our architect has been working on several different proposals for the Alpine School property, which he will be sharing with the board in the near future. He has also been working on a list of possible upgrades to all of our buildings to include in the referendum. Also, I have reached out to the company that performed our latest demographic study in 2021 and asked that they perform an update to that study so we have updated enrollment projections for planning purposes. As this process continues to progress, I will continue to keep everyone updated. I would like to acknowledge our lone retirement on this evening's agenda. Ms. Christine Collister will be retiring from her position as STEM teacher at Sparta Middle School after serving our students and district for 16 years. Congratulations and best wishes to Ms. Collister. Lastly, I would like to wish the entire Sparta community a happy Thanksgiving and hope to see many of you at the annual SEF Turkey Trot on Thanksgiving morning. And I will turn it over to Ms. Rossi for an update.
Good evening, everyone. The New Jersey Learning Acceleration Program High Impact Tutoring Grant is intended to support districts in providing high-dosage intensive tutoring by focusing on high-impact tutoring interventions for students who have been disproportionately affected by the pandemic. The grant opportunity prioritizes districts with elementary schools and their students in grades 3 and 4, but also allows to serve additional students as needed and optimizes funding for targeted tutoring through identified vendors. We recently learned that we've been approved for this award and will be accepting the funds on this evening's agenda. You'll also notice 2 additional grants being funded with the continued support of the SEF. We want to once again acknowledge their dedication to the school district and thank them so much for their efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beck, Ms. Rossi. Mr. Morris could not be here tonight, but I would like to read a statement on behalf of the board president. As many of you are aware, the Board of Education voted at our last meeting to abolish the district's policy on transgender students. While many board members believed the policy addressed important issues involving the rights of transgender students, we were also very concerned that it left open too many unanswered questions about the level of involvement there should be from a student's own parents, particularly for our younger student population. For example, the old policy said that there is no affirmative duty to notify parents about a student's gender identity or expression. Did this mean that school officials were prohibited from notifying parents if their child was now using a different, pardon me. Thank you. A different restroom of the gender they identify with, or were they going by a different name or using different pronouns in school? Given that these issues are currently being litigated statewide, many of us were concerned with amending the old policy. However, after listening to administration, staff, parents, and student concerns, we also agreed that it was better to have a policy on the books than to not have a policy at all. After researching the policies of other school districts, the policy committee decided that it liked the policy of the Kittatinny Regional School District, our neighbor, which we believe comes from the New Jersey School Boards Association. We decided the Kittatinny policy best addressed some of our concerns. Accordingly, using the policy as a template, the policy committee made some modifications, which we believe now properly balance student and parental rights. By way of example, the policy, which is on the agenda tonight for our first reading, says that, quote, "Students who do not want their parents, guardians to know about their transgender status shall be addressed on a case-by-case basis, depending upon such factors as the age, grade level, and maturity of the student involved. However, the general presumption shall be in favor of parental guardian notification and involvement," end quote. The policy further recognizes that, quote, "In some cases, notifying parents and guardians carries risks for the student, such as being kicked out of the home. Prior to notification of any parent or guardian regarding the transition process, school staff should work very closely with the student to assess the degree to which, if any, the parents and guardians will be involved in the process, and must consider the health, well-being, and safety of the transitioning student," end quote. The policy instructs that, quote, "The school counselor shall balance the rights of the student needing support and the requirement that parents and guardians be kept informed about their child," end quote. Simply put, we believe this policy properly recognizes and respects the rights of all parties involved, and it also provides our staff with appropriate direction in dealing with these complicated yet important issues. So that was all for that. And make a note of the Oprah requests, and can someone please make a motion to accept the HIB report? Second? Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Keeling?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp? Ms. McMichael?
Yes?
Mr. Pelesci?
Yes.
Ms. Seelander?
Yes.
Dr. Serrano?
Yes. Okay, thank you, Joanne. Any communications for us? Nope. Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any delegate liaison reports?
I do. I just wanted to report out of policy and personnel that you'll notice that we have regulation 5440 back on for second read. I did want to note that I will be making another motion to table just because we have been working on this, and I thank Mrs. Rossi for her work with me on this. As you know, we had revised many policies due to our revision in class rank. And while doing so, we came across many older policies and regulations. And this particular one, the more we looked at it, we saw that there was elements that hadn't been updated since it was put in place in 1999. So we just wanted to make sure that it is accurate and comprehensive, but also flexible so that we can continue to honor all levels of academic achievement as well as the co-curriculars that are present and that may be added in the future. So you can expect to see that on the next month's agenda with those revisions. And the only other thing I had for communications is also the Sussex County School Boards Association. Our next meeting will be December 4th at Green Hills School. And I wanted to welcome you all to attend. I'm also going to be extending the invite to our new additions to the board who can also attend the 3 Rs training for the roles and responsibilities for school boards. And then we can stay for dinner together if you'd like.
Thank you, Lauren. Anyone else? All right.
Real quickly, I just want to add, Dr. Beck mentioned the turkey trot. That registration is still open, and I believe there will be registration same day for the 5K distance as well as the 1 mile fun run. That's through SEF, so if you guys are here for Thanksgiving, make sure you come on out, walk it, run it, whatever you would like. It's a great morning with a lot of people celebrating the holiday and the schools, so come on out for that.
Thank you, Wendy. All right. Moving on to public comment number 1 is for action items only. Public comments are invited on matters pertaining only to action items at this time. Please state the action item number as well as your name, municipality, and group affiliation if appropriate for the record. Each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you've had your allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again until public comment number 2. All statements should be directed to me as the presiding officer. The board or administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of the public participation. And the board attorney will let you know when you have 1 minute left.
Hi, thank you. My name is Kim Bragg, Sparta, New Jersey. I'm here to speak about item 15.25. I would like to speak to its history. Prior to it being adopted unanimously in 2019, and this is in reference to policy 5756, I had a lengthy talk with then Superintendent Dr. Rossi. I left that conversation confident that everything that could be done for our transgender students at the time was being done. And actually, the conversation exceeded my expectations as to what the district was doing for our transgender students. There are other ways to support all of our students, especially our most vulnerable student, I have trouble with that word, vulnerable student populations. Last year, I requested that the policy committee review 24 policies. Craig, with your permission, I reached out to Mr. Zittimer, and we were looking to add the language and any other category protected by state and federal law. I don't know if you remember that, Mr. Zittimer, but so after review, some policies were in fact updated to read the following. Regardless of race, creed, color, national origin, ancestry, age, marital status, affectional or sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, religion, disability, or socioeconomic status, and any other category protected by state and federal law. This language was unanimously supported by the committee, who at the time included Lauren, Kurt Morris, myself, and then ultimately the full board passed it unanimously, with a number of policies having this additional language added as another level to protect our most vulnerable students. I was surprised at the time that it actually got no public interest, but it was really very meaningful. And I want to speak to the intention behind that, because I am one of the few people who can speak to the history of this particular policy coming before the board. Thank you. Policy 5756 was passed in 2019 when transgender students, it was not a hot topic. I began to think about, okay, last year I began to think, what about 4 or 5 years from now? What about those students? What will that group be? And I don't know the answer. Nobody knows the answer. So what we did as a committee was try to tighten up some policies. And I'm here to encourage the whole board to look at your policy, and I'm requesting that the board do a full board policy review, which is overdue for this Board of Education, in my opinion. There's lots of ways that our policies can be tightened up, and that was just one small way, and it was a micro change, but it was really, really meaningful. I'm here to also request, as it relates to policy 5756, please review policy 5514. Student use of vehicles.
That's time, thank you.
Student use of vehicles on school grounds. Thank you. Mr. Beck, I will email you directly with the details. And thank you all for your service to our community.
Thank you, Ms. Bragg.
Hello, Emily Scott. I live in Hamburg, New Jersey, but I am a teacher at the high school here in town. I'm also the chair of the Policy Review Committee, and I'm here to discuss Agenda Item 15.25. We've got some questions regarding the new policy that is coming up for first reading, policy number 5756. We're asking for clarification on the wording of the new policy. In the last full paragraph on page 3 that starts with school personnel should keep confidential a current, new, or prospective student's transgender status, in that paragraph, specifically the first sentences of this paragraph ensure student confidentiality and uphold student civil rights. However, later on in that same paragraph, the policy states that, quote, the general presumption shall be in favor of parental/guardian notification and involvement. These two are conflicting statements within the same paragraph. So we're not sure here. Are school staff directed to disclose this information to parents, or are school staff directed to keep that information confidential for the safety of the student? Additionally, the end of the paragraph states that the school counselor shall balance the rights of the students and assess the needs of parent involvement. This adds a third element to the policy. How does a counselor balance this? Does this policy mandate that the counselor must break confidentiality? what kind of training will be provided to counselors and all staff as we navigate these issues, and who will be providing this training, when will this training be provided. We ask for clarification on these items, and we really encourage you guys to table this reading until such clarity can be provided to us. I have copies for everybody.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Next speaker, please.
Scott Knoll, Sparta. Similar. I had issues with the language around 1525. Starting in paragraph 2, students with gender identity or expression concerns and their parents, guardians, shall be given the opportunity to discuss these issues and participate in the education planning programming for their student. This sentence requires the student to engage the parent and out the child, and gives preference to the parent over their student without regard to the child's safety. The policy proposed by the board, in addition to increasing the risk for some of the most vulnerable students and by contradicting the state policy, puts our teachers, administrators, and district at risk as well. The last paragraph of the confidentiality and privacy section offers window dressing in terms of the student's well-being and safety, but does not specify who will assess risk to the student, how risk will be assessed, or what criteria will be used to determine disclosure, but explicitly calls out that the intent is to inform the parent. Similarly, in the coordination and school accommodations portion of the policy, specifically paragraph F, the chief student administrator and/or his/her designees are expected to work closely with the student and his or her parents' guardians in formulating an appropriate plan regarding the confidentiality of the student's transgender transitioning status. All pretense is gone. The student is outed to the parent before confidentiality is discussed, regardless of their preference, and the parent is firmly in the seat driving the bus. This is repeated in the section on resources for transgender or transitioning students. The parents are engaged, which means the parents have been informed. The way that this is written, not the intent, this is a bad policy. It eliminates all of the intended protections of the state policy. It's vague, it's internally contradictory, and it exposes not only the student, but the teachers, staff, and the district to risk. I strongly urge the board not to adopt this policy and to reconsider the state policy that is in place, working, and was developed by an extensive team of professionals. Thank you.
Thank you.
Kind of, sort of.
I want to thank the board for their brave and correct decision on October 19th regarding parental notification 5756. My name is Lauren Sutphin. I have been a Sparta resident since 1986. I am 53 years old. I will never be 27. No matter how many Botox injections I get, or how often I dye the gray out of my hair, or how many plastic surgery appointments I might sign up for, no matter if those plastic surgeries are called youth-affirming surgeries from the surgeons that would profit from them. My age is a biological fact, just like my gender. Gender is assigned at conception and acknowledged at birth, male or female. God made them both. There are feminine boys and men, and there are masculine girls and women. This has always been true. Why would anyone want to perpetuate the trans lie? Trying to fight against an immutable trait like gender will only lead to doubt, confusion, misery, and a 40% suicide rate. The trans agenda has latched its wagon to the gay, lesbian, and bisexuals, the LGBs, who fought long and hard for the rights they deservedly have. Being trans has nothing to do with being gay. At the October meeting, a public commenter in favor of the trans agenda stated that no one is treading on you, sweetie. I disagree. Demanding that I accept a lie and ignore a biological fact is treading on me. Forcing me to use untruthful pronouns and untruthful language is treading on me. Requiring me to share private spaces like bathrooms and locker rooms with the opposite sex is treading on me. Where is common sense? It seems to have been replaced by loud and rude support for an agenda that damages children while claiming to help them. At 3 years old, my daughter wanted to be a mermaid. Should I have cut her legs off, let her live in the bathtub? My daughter is now a 26-year-old woman with 2 legs and no desire to be a mermaid. She and I laugh now about her childhood obsession, fleeting as it was. Children and teenagers change their minds frequently while their brains grow and their experience expands. Eventually, they settle on their adult identity. As the grown-ups in their lives, children need us to guide them through their changes, not jump on one single temporary crisis and slap a permanent label on them, altering their voices and bodies and futures forever. Some parents want a trophy the size and shape of their own child to virtue signal and garner likes and attention on social media. I implore all parents to stay the course with their children. Don't let them be lost in trans nation. Put the children first, even if that means giving up your title as the cool mom or the cool dad. One day your child will thank you for remaining steadfast during these seismic culture shifts. Make childhood innocent again. Thank you and good night.
Caitlin Gagnon, Summit Road. First, thank you, Dr. Beck, for your kind words and the warm welcomes we've received this week. I'm speaking tonight regarding the first read for the new transgender policy. While I do appreciate the board for revisiting this, which I honestly did not think would happen based on comments that were made at a recent political fundraising event, I do take issue with the new policy as it reads. At the last meeting, it was said that revising our former policy would have led to litigation for our district. And as mentioned, it seems you have relied on the majority of the Kittatinny regional policy to curate your own version. However, you've still managed to make specific revisions to their policy, which seems contradictory to last month's message. But let's discuss your revisions. Not in the Kittatinny policy, but in ours as proposed, it reads, quote, however, in some cases, notifying the parent poses risk for the student, such as being kicked out of their home. Kicked out? This is the high-quality terminology that a policy-making body wants to enforce. I'm not here to nitpick words, although I do believe that district policy should reflect strong writing, preferably legal writing. However, I do think you're being far too specific in areas that ought to be vague, and you've been far too vague in areas that ought to be specific. There's no form of protocol laid out in this. There's no system or structured hierarchy that explains clearly step A leads to step B, which leads to step C, and so on. You've also said, quote, general presumption shall be in favor of parental notification. But how is that legally defined? What if only 5 transgender students come out to 5 professionals this year, and all 5 of those children live in abusive or endangered homes? Same with, quote, the requirement that parents be kept informed about their child. Does this requirement apply to the parents who may kick out their own child? I believe you're setting our teachers, counselors, and staff up for failure when you vaguely ask of them to strike a balance. Much like the book policy, you're relying on subjective terms to rewrite a policy that was working in place for many years. And as someone else so brilliantly put it, whether you're doing this out of ignorance or malice, both are equally unacceptable. Once again, let's look at what our time and taxpayer dollars are being wasted on. Months of abolishing and rewriting and revising a policy which now include colorful phrases like kicked out. Mr. Zittermer, did you read this policy? I asked, and I would ask, how much this cost our district, but Mr. Zittermer refuses to disclose his legal bills to those of us who have requested them unless we pay hundreds of dollars for what is legally defined as public record. I'd like to remind the public that Mr. Zittermer also refuses to tell us what the line item, general legal, actually means when it remains the single most expensive line item in every monthly bill that our district pays him. I'm confident our financially reckless issues will be addressed in due time. But for this evening, I encourage you to strike this policy first reading entirely, reinstate our former policy, or adopt Kittatinny's policy as it relies on a case-by-case assessment. Thank you. And I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Lindsay Paradiso, Demarest Road. I'm also here to comment on the first read for the new transgender policy. I'd like to remind the board that the quality of maturity is entirely subjective, and I'd like to inquire as to why this language is used, what constitutes maturity to you, and who will be evaluating a student's maturity and determining how to proceed according to that. The policy does not state what ages and grade levels you will lean further towards parental notification. Those things should be specified. This nuance comes across as either intentional vagueness or otherwise exists as an unintentional gap in specificity that could be problematic and should therefore be addressed and modified before proceeding. This lack of specificity and nuance and subjectivity of language, I am certain, is just going to discourage all students regardless of age and grade level not out to their parents to keep their identity close to their chest because they have no way to gauge what's factoring into the decision process of whether a parent is notified. This is dangerous, and I cannot stress that enough. The fact that these students would presumably be immediately forced into a battle over their autonomy and privacy the second they confide in someone who should be a trusted adult, which this policy outlines is likely a losing battle for them no matter what, is entirely unethical. Please table and revise this. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Frank Sanchez. I live in 122 Sparta, Summit Road, in Sparta. I just want to thank some of the members who were here at the last meeting, Lauren, and others who, Wendy, Vanessa, who fought against this policy. I don't understand, it's a lame duck board at this point, why we are moving forward with this policy. I think at this point, the public has shown that we no longer believe in this policy, and we should move forward in actually tabling this and having the new board come in and doing this. Mr. Zillemer, I know you work for Schenck Law, and you actually went to the last school board's meeting and actually had a demonstration, or at least I don't know, let's say demonstration, a presentation about bragging about how you are dealing with gender policies across the state. I don't think Sparta should be what we doing. I mean, Sparta has demonstrated at this last election, this is not who we are as Spartans. We don't believe in this. And I would hope that the new board actually consider whether we have a new lawyer, a new law firm, to actually say what we as a public believe in, who we are as people. Mr. Zillemer, I just want to let you know, that's not who we are. And I would hope the public has already expressed that.
1 minute.
And I would hope that the rest of the board would table this until the new board comes in. In the meantime, I am proud of what our public has done. We've demonstrated that bigotry is not who we are, and I applaud those people who have voted and who have expressed that. Sparta is not other towns that we have seen in this public, and so thank you so much for the town, and I do hope that happens now and we table this until the new board comes in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, My name's Debbie Gilmartin. I live on Alpine Trail, Sparta, New Jersey. And first, I'd like to thank everyone that voted at the last meeting to get rid of the ridiculous policies of not notifying parents when a child is being asking to be addressed as a different gender than who they are or by a different name. Our children are our children. They're not Phil Murphy's children. They're not any of your children. They're our children. And if something happens to a child, it's our responsibility to clean up any mess that has been created. We have spent so much time going over the same thing instead of talking about the new preschool and really diving into all this information. We have not spent enough time dealing with actual educational problems. Our children are not your children. We have the right to know what's going on with them. And to make it very clear, the public did not vote on this policy. If we wanted the public to vote on that policy, it should have been on the polls to be voted on. What was voted on was something that was very deceptive. It was very deceptive. And I thank the people that ran that were honest and had integrity and can look themselves in the mirror and know that they were honest with the public. They weren't going around saying that they were the real conservatives or that they were lowering taxes or keeping taxes low. So really, the public didn't decide anything except for uninformed people, the elderly wanting their taxes reduced, believing what was told to them. I spoke to so many people after church during the week and on Sundays, and they were telling me the same thing. Oh, Deb, the real conservatives came to my house. Oh, that's great. And then as we talk, they're like, wait, that's not who came to my house. So the public didn't decide on anything. It was deception. Thank you.
Okay, Ryan Dumpert, Sparta. I'm going to talk on 1514 real quick. The pre-K expansion. I know, crazy, right? I'm not going to talk about the trans stuff. I don't completely understand the process, but I assume that in the creation of 2 job descriptions that you are going to be hiring 2 people for this. That's my assumption. That's how I would do things. So my question, as we're, Dr. Beck, I think it was last meeting, you noted that we had the grant for the pre-K and all that. So are the salaries for these 2 jobs being funded from the grant, or are they being funded from the taxpayers? The reason I ask, and I just want to say this, is because we just experienced nurses being cut when the COVID money dried up, and I would hate to see the pre-K money dry up. I know that you're very confident in how long this money is going to be around, and that it will not dry up. But I've heard things from the state before. So if you could just answer me that, I just want to know where those salaries are going to come from. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment number 1? All right. Can I get a motion to close public comment session? Or what? Do we answer first? Okay.
Once you close it.
Okay, we'll close. Motion to close, please?
Motion.
Okay. Vanessa and Walter? Second. Wendy, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Dr. Beck, go ahead.
Yeah, just going to respond to Mr. Dumpert's question. First of all, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the interest in that agenda item. The answer is yes. When the pre-K expansion funding, when the application was written, it was written, actually what the state mandates is these positions be in your pre-K expansion. And what these positions do is they support the staff in different ways as coaches and as different types of support staff. It's mandated by the state, therefore funded by the state through the expansion money. If the pre-K, we're not going to, I wouldn't go down this road, but if it were to ever, because it is your concern, if it were to ever dry up, that means the pre-K expansion would shrink and there would be no longer a need for these positions anyway. Also written in the grant, speaking of budgeting and personnel, is percentages of current salaries that are going to be offset by money, by pre-K expansion funding, such as a portion of an administrator's salary, because an administrator in Alpine is still going to be helping oversee the program. So a percentage of a salary there gets taken off, a percentage of a nurse in a building gets taken off. So you see other benefits there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. As to Ms. Scott's question about the confidentiality piece, that confidentiality provision referred to confidentiality as to third parties. It wasn't referring to confidentiality as to the student's own parents. For some of the other questions about the specificity in the policy or the inherent contradictions, if the administration finds that the implementation of this policy is problematic, causing confusion and so forth, we always have the ability, like we do with many of our other policies, to develop an administrative regulation, which really gets into the fine points and the processes of the policy. So that's something that we can certainly consider down the line if there's problems with the implementation of this policy, if it's ultimately adopted on second reading down the line. Mr. Sanchez, I don't know if he's still here. I'm not sure exactly what he was referring to. I wasn't bragging about anything. I was asked to be on a panel at the New Jersey School Boards Conference in Atlantic City at the School Law Forum to discuss the transgender litigation that's circulating statewide, which I happen to be involved with in one of my other districts. I was on a panel with 3 other attorneys, including a transgender attorney, and we had a great discussion about the policy, the litigation, where we go from here and so forth. We got a lot of excellent feedback. Anybody can certainly go to YouTube and probably find it. People on both sides of the issue say that it was a good discussion and it presented the issues fairly, thoroughly, and in an informative manner. So I kind of take exception to what you just said. I think that's about it.
I believe so as well. Okay, so let's see. Lost my place now. Okay, we're going to move items. I don't want to mess this one up. Please bear with me here. Okay. All right. Can I please get a motion to, this is a little complicated with the addendum, and I've lost my papers. Here it is, okay. Sorry for that. May I please get a motion to pass personnel items 15.1 through 15.32, plus addendum items 15.32A, B, and C, with an addition to hire Melissa Chagnon for 4th grade over at Helen Morgan School, be replacing Patrick Chakowitz, effective January 2nd or sooner. BA Step 7, salary of $70,870. Motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you, Walter. Second? Thank you, Christina. Joanne, roll call, please.
Ms. Collier?
I just wanted to make, did that include the tabling
Oh, I'm
of
so
the
sorry.
one?
Discussion.
I'm sorry. Should we restate the motion? Just because we wanted to table the one item of the honoring student achievement?
Motion to table yet?
No, should I make that now?
Why don't you
Okay.
start by making the motion to
Okay.
table?
Okay,
Okay.
let's start there.
Okay. All right. I'd like to make a motion prior to adopting policy and personnel items that we would table from item 15.24, regulation 5440. Do I have a second?
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
15.26.
15.26.
sorry. I thought it was on. Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
I restate 15.26, tabling regulation 5440. My apologies.
Okay, wonderful.
Need a second on that.
Still a second.
Okay, great. Thank you. Discussion? All in favor?
And this is just on tabling.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Okay.
Any opposed?
Any opposed? No? Okay, great.
So that item's tabled.
Okay, now we'll start again with the 15 motion to pass. Do I reread that whole thing? Should I reread the?
No, you could just say we're going to
Okay.
move 15.1 through
3-2. Yeah, so we're going to, yeah.
the addendum.
And the addendum, minus the one that was tabled. So, yeah, a motion to move 15.1 through 15.32 with the addendum items 15.32A, B, C, the addition to hire, and minus the one that was tabled. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Lauren. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Keeling?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Pelleggi?
Yes to everything except for 15.25, and I want to just speak to it for a second, because I do think that the policy that the committee has come up with is a really good start. It seems to be, the majority of it's very solid. I do want to make sure that there are enough protections for the children. I think the origination of a lot of these policies regarding transgender students, especially from a state level, came out, or originated as protections because parents were informed, the kids weren't ready, the parents might not have been ready, and there was abuse, there were some suicides, right? So I just want to make sure that as a board, we're confident that we have protections for those children, strong protections in this policy. And, I also want to make sure that as a board, our message is, we're being consistent in that there's some policies that we've changed we've changed because we think the parent should be parenting at home. And then we have other policies that, we're changing because we're saying, well, we need to tell the parents, right? We need to keep them informed about their kids, and which, if there are safety issues, I 100% agree with. I just want to make sure that those students have enough protections in these policies.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm going to chime in. I did sit on the policy committee. There was at least one line that I said that I did not agree with. I do think we need to take a little bit more time and get it right the first time. The other ones are already gone. If we're going to put in another one, I think it needs to be done right and get rid of that ambiguity. And then if we do think that there is some sort of regulation that will support it better, I think we need to have that ready as well. I don't think we should just be doing one thing and trying it and not working and then come up with something else to support it. So I just don't want to rush it and make sure that we put in what is right and best the first time. So I think we should table it too. I don't think there's any rush.
Okay. Any other discussion?
And I will echo the sentiments of Craig and Wendy. When Wendy said, we need to get it right the first time, I agree. It doesn't hurt to just revisit and make sure we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's.
Okay, thank you. Other discussion? Anyone?
So, yeah, I'll continue the roll call then.
Okay, continue the roll
Ms.
call.
Seelander?
Yes to everything, but no to 15.25.
Dr. Serrano?
Yes to everything, no to 15.25.
Okay,
Motion carried, 4-3?
4.
Yep, okay.
okay. All right. Moving on, can I get a motion to move items 16.15
And the addendum.
and the addendum item? Second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Joanne, roll call, please.
Ms. Collier?
Yes.
Ms. Keeling?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
Ms. McMichael?
Yes.
Mr. Pelleggi?
Yes to everything except for 16.11, which I need to abstain because my wife's on the SCF board.
Ms. Seelander?
Yes.
And Dr. Serrano?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to finance, may I get a motion to pass, to move item 17.2 to...
Motion.
Motion, thank.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I have to figure out what I'm moving.
17.10?
Through 17.10, please. Lauren?
Motion.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, Christina, thank you. Discussion? All right. Joanne, roll call, please.
Ms. Collier,
Yes.
Ms. Keeling,
Yes.
Mr. Knapp,
Yes.
Ms. McMichael,
Yes.
Mr. Pellecci,
Yes.
Ms. Seelander,
Yes.
Dr. Serrano.
Yes.
All right. And may I please get a motion to move 18.1 through 18.3?
Motion.
Craig, thank you. Second?
Second?
Oh, thank you, Wendy. Joanne, roll call, please.
Ms. Collier,
Yes.
Ms. Keeling, Mr. Knapp,
Yes.
Ms. McMichael,
Yes.
Mr. Pellecci,
Yes.
Ms. Seelander,
Yes.
and Dr. Serrano.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to old business. Anyone have anything? No? Okay, new business? All right, moving on to public comment number 2. The board uses the second public comment period to invite comments on all matters pertaining to the school district. Please state your name, municipality, and group affiliation if appropriate for the record. Each participant will receive 3 minutes to speak. Once you have had the allotted 3 minutes to speak, you will not be permitted to speak again. All statements should be directed to me as the presiding officer. The Board of Administration may or may not respond to any questions or comments after the conclusion of the public participation. And we will have the 1 minute warning. Okay.
Are you ready for me?
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Angela DeLucia, and I am the very proud president of the Sparta Education Association. Tonight, I'm here to share some kudos with the board and the community. On November 11th, Veterans Day is observed, and I'd like to acknowledge the faculty and staff who have served in the United States military. From the SEA, Jerry Carter, Eric Hood, Chris Iadarolo, and William Brennan. From Buildings and Grounds, Matt Lawler, and from the admin team, Shannon Benson. The SEA would also like to thank the community members and alumni who have served or are currently serving. Our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in the service of our country can never be repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. Harry S. Truman. November 15th marks the recognition of Educational Support Professionals Day. In our district, our ESPs, the paraprofessionals, secretaries, IT department, and security guards work tirelessly to support the students and the school community as a whole. Without them, we truly would not be complete, nor would we be able to run our schools. Each year, the SEA selects one ESP who exemplifies the extraordinary. This year, besides his behind-the-scenes work in assisting in keeping the networks up and running, ensuring that the Wi-Fi is top-notch, and even live streaming the board meetings, Shane Brown stepped up in the negotiations process when the IT department and the guards joined the SEA. Last night, Shane and 15 other ESPs of the year were honored at the annual Sussex County Education Association ESP celebration. Our elementary teachers have just wrapped up conferences. The consensus is that we are so excited and fortunate to be able to foster these relationships with families so that we can continue to grow together as an educational team. Today, the high school life skills program celebrated Thanksgiving. Students shared sentiments of gratitude. The amazing teachers, paras, and students prepared a feast fit for royalty, and this is a tradition certainly worth mentioning. At the middle school and high school, marking period 1 has come to an end. Fall sports have ended, and we are in a brief quiet time before all the winter sports and activities start to kick into high gear. However, starting tonight through Saturday, the High School Drama Club is performing Midsummer Jersey. Finally, the SEI would like to express its gratitude for the support of the community and for each other as we do what we do best, provide the best instruction, resources, and support for our students. We wish all Spartans a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Dana Galino from Sparta. The audacity that some of you possess in not only abolishing a policy that was written by people more experienced than you that your constituents have repeatedly asked you to keep in place, but also in recklessly spending taxpayer money that you don't even have enough of to write some policy in the 11th hour that's going to be ripped up in 2 months is astonishing. The community has spoken, so rather than go out in a flame of shame, leaving us with even more insurmountable debt, why don't you just spend the next 2 months mending bridges with your staff? Most of you are hell-bent on using every minute of your tenure to shove a self-serving agenda down the throats of Spartans who have repeatedly told you we don't want that. No, you cannot use our 80 million tax dollars to fight state policies that you don't like. That money is for the education of Spartan children, and by your spending track record alone this year, I wouldn't be surprised if you told me you were gathering at Lakeland Bank on December 31st just to burn what's left in the account. Anyone have matches? I would love to tell you, this community, just how much you've wasted in unnecessary legal fees this year, but Mark Zittimer instructed Joanne Black not to release his invoices to me unless I pay her $555. This is corruption at its finest, Sparta, and Joanne, as a BA, you should be ashamed of yourself. You get paid $170,000, your assistant gets $119,000, and your secretary gets $67,000, but that's not enough of our taxpayer money to pull 10 months of invoices from one vendor. Speaking of poor job performance, Joanne and Dr. Beck, how is it that every board for the past 5 years has spent over $150,000 on legal, yet you have not increased that line item to align with actual costs? Even if you couldn't predict the amount of irresponsible spending on behalf of this board, $150,000 hasn't been enough since 2019. They spent $346,000 on legal in 21-22. How many more line items are you not adequately funding? How many lowball numbers are you lazily pushing to our board each year? Your ineptitude at creating a sound budget is in part to blame for our financial fiasco, and that incompetence needs to be addressed by the 2024 board. But you aren't all off the hook. Do any of you wake up on a random morning and announce, gee, I'd really like a new kitchen. Let me go spend 65 grand by lunchtime? No, you don't, and if you do, God bless, but that's your money, and you are not allowed to do it with our money. If you want to rewrite policies, fight Trenton, pay your corrupt lawyer, and whatever else you wasted your time on the board with this year, you save it for like you are beholden to do as a school board. Make sure it's needed, pay your debts, put it on the agenda, listen to the people you are elected to serve, save your pennies, and when you have it, then you spend it. That's how you stop raising taxes. And for anyone who thinks that the district will be forced to hire back Mark Zittimer if they bid out legal next year, not if they don't ask him to submit a bid. That's how you get rid of a shady lawyer, and that has been double dipping and preying on this district for far too long. And I, for one, cannot wait to see it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment?
Ryan Dumpert, Sparta. I think it was about 9 months ago, first time I stood up here and spoke. Part of what I said was that there are two perspectives being spoken each time, each meeting. There's two different perspectives, and that I really admired the tenacity of both sides. I want to make sure that they know this. Chad, Jen, and Caitlin, congratulations. You won. You did. And I accept that. Congratulations. I really, really hope that you bring that level of tenacity that you brought to this microphone every single time to this board, and that you really do help our school move in a direction that the people want. Now, I want to bring something up that was brought up to me after the last meeting to a bunch of people. Obviously, this board to get on is a big fight, right? This is big. So I would like to hear from two of the members, first being Wendy, who I'm not going to say that you did this. I'm just going to say that it looked like you did this. Stormed out at the last meeting. I think it's worth commenting on that. Whether you did or not, if you had an appointment, I just think it's worth doing, just to set the public straight on that. And Craig, you're like the absentee board member. I really think that that's worth commenting. These aren't digs at either of you, because everybody has really taken their time, and I do respect that you sit up here and do this. But I think that these are worth commenting on, so I would like to hear what you guys have to say. Greg, you're just not here that often. You missed a lot of meetings, like the last two were really important. And Wendy, again, the storming out. It looked like you stormed out. I'm not saying that you did. I actually didn't notice it because I wasn't paying attention to it, but I think it's worth commenting on. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment number 2?
Caitlin Gagnon again. I just want to respond to the last public comment. I actually really appreciate Mr. Dumpert's statement. I appreciate the congratulations. And I will say that while I don't necessarily agree with everything he said, I do think that unfortunately there does seem to be this duality, not just in Sparta, but across the country right now. That said, you've heard a lot about me. I would confidently say a lot of it is untrue. Allegations, comments, things like that, which is all fine. And I will say the one thing that about myself, I am a woman of my word. I am a woman of integrity. So you don't have to like me. You don't have to agree with what I have to say. You can even be upset by my tenacity at times. But you will respect me, and I will respect you. And I will respect the spectrum of people that we will be representing as 3 new board members as soon as we're elected. That said, in being a woman of my word, I would never run a campaign based on a deceitful slogan. So that is something that needs to be debunked instantly. And I look forward, on day 1, I look forward to proving that there are absolutely ways that our financial bleeding is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And thus, they must be severed at the root, and we must work together to fix those problems. If those problems and that financial bleeding serves your political agenda, you will continue to dislike me, and I'm okay with that. But I'm gonna make good on every campaign promise I made to every constituent I spoke with, and I can confidently say there were thousands, and they all agreed. There was no deception. We never went to any door claiming to be any political entity, and I disclosed my political affiliation openly to any constituent who asked. Sometimes, and I have witnesses to these, for 30-minute conversations. And it was inspiring to see how many of us are more similar and are more united in our love for our country and our community than we are divided. So I would encourage everyone to get to know me before you come up to the microphone and have things to say, before you make claims that you know are untrue, that you know are untrue. Before you do that, sit down and have a conversation with me. And you might be enlightened by what you learn. But I look forward to serving my community. I look forward to making good on every promise, not just our slogan, but every single promise that I pledged to every single person I spoke to. And I look forward to representing the people that live in Sparta that might not agree with me. I look forward to representing you, and I promise I will consider you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Grzegorz Baszty. I'm a resident of Sparta. Thank you to the ones that fight for the parents' rights. I get it. If some people are not happy with their kids' gender, that's their issue. Keep it at home. Parents should know about everything that happens because you will hold me responsible for anything that my kid does in school. minor drugs, guns, cross on his neck, you will call me first. So I want to know about what's happening with my kid, okay? Another thing, talking about wasting people's money, how about the last Thursday and Friday NJA meeting? We didn't waste any money there on drag shows and stuff like that. That's not wasting money, talking about lawsuits. And lawsuits are also brought up in this town by parents that are just not happy that their things don't turn out their way. Okay? That's about 3 things. Once again, I want to thank you. And some pledges in this town, with all this voting, I don't think all the people in town agreed with it because there was this. All I heard about these meetings, I haven't been here that many times, but it's just one agenda, LGBTQ and transgender. There's no other bigger issues in life, just that. Be happy with what your kid is. If your kid wants to do it, talk to him at home, okay? And leave other kids alone, okay? Let the parents decide when there's counseling needed. I'm sure we'll find it. We have social services for that. And no, I don't want the government to run for me. And no, people in government are not smarter than people, for example, like me, okay? Because a lot of people that are highly educated are literally one semester short from a village idiot. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment members? Oh, Sarah.
I just wanted to correct myself from earlier. Actually, the Turkey Bowl is on Tuesday, the 21st, not Wednesday. Thank you, Officer Pridham. And to answer Ms. Sealander's question, it is $5 for admission.
Thank you. All right. Motion to close public comment number 2.
Motion.
Walter, may I get a second?
Second.
Vanessa, thank you. Do we do roll call?
You do all in favor.
All in favor? Thank you. All right. I guess we're on to good of the order. Right.
I just want to echo Ms. DeLucia's comment about just thanking the life skills class for their Thanksgiving feast today. I got a chance to attend with Dr. Beck and Mr. Morris, and many of our administrators, staff, and students were there, and it was just really wonderful. They were so great to my little girls, and the food was excellent. I have a high bar to get to for my Thanksgiving dinner to get close to what they did with that turkey. So special thanks to our program leaders there. It was really just very touching to us, and I wish all of my colleagues, administration, staff, and students a very happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Yes, happy Thanksgiving to all.
I also have something to say about what Angela said. I don't know if any of the other staff members are here, but Shane is actually in the back, and I think we should give him a round of applause.
Wonderful. Thank you for your service. Anyone else? All right. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Craig, second?
Second.
Lauren, all in favor?
Aye.
That's it, right? Did I just-